Wait, is this recording?
Yeah,
we're on.
Oh, what, dude? No. Okay, this is where you got to start it when I have the glove on. I can't put it on like when it's. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just cut it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going.
Do you collect anything?
Me or him?
And both of you.
Well, my collection's in my office.
Is it? You don't have anything collected that's at your house?
I mean, it's the same kind of shoes.
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly.
Shoes.
I mean, I know you were into a little while ago. You were into SBs.
Oh, I was all about the SB Air Force One game, like back in high school. At one point, I had like
Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, at one point I had like maybe 70 plus pairs.
Damn.
Wow, dude.
Damn, Air Force. Dude.
Mostly of SBs.
When I was a kid and the Air Force Ones had first came out, like, you know, when those guys, the rappers, who are they? Well, get to stomping in my Air Force Ones. Got that one song?
Dude, I know rap and I don't know that song.
Nelly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So when that song had came out like way back in the day, I've always been from a sort of okay area, you know. And fortunately, my mom was able to buy me a pair of Air Force Ones. However, this one school year, I had went to kind of a bad area for school. I went to a school in a Hawaiian Gardens. No. I didn't get jacked. However, I wore some fresh ass white Air Force Ones, and man, I was scared because kids, well, they were just staring me down really? Like, this middle class with his nice shoes. I should jack him right now. So
it's scary. I mean, there's times when the Jordans first came out and all that, it was just, there was times when you were scared to wear them out because you didn't know what was going to happen because there was all kinds of news about it going around.
Yeah, for just petty stuff.
Yeah,
I never had a pair of Jordans.
I had a few.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite ones were like the grape.
Yeah.
The white, purple, and teal-ish color. Yeah, those are dope.
Wow.
My all-time favorite SBs were the Tiffany's. I don't know if they're called diamonds now, but when I was really into it is when they were the Tiffany's.
Yeah.
And I had like 3 pairs of them. One of them was dead stock. I couldn't bring myself to like ever wear those. Those were like brand new. And then I had another pair, like if I ever wanted to wear it, so I could crease it no problem.
Yeah.
And not have to be walking like a penguin. And then the other one was just like semi, like once in a while. Like if the first pair was super, super beat, then I had the second pair that was like the nice going out ones that were like semi.
I do that still to this day with some shoes I own. You know, I have a pair of Chucks for the gym, but then a pair of Chucks for day out.
Yeah, that was expensive.
Yeah.
Oh man,
especially when you're a kid.
Yeah, I was in high school.
Yeah. Man, there were so many
flipping shoes in high school. That was my business.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Business in high school, huh?
Locker deals in between like breaks and things like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I had 2 businesses as a kid. My first business as a kid, and it was very short-lived because it was highly, highly unethical. In the 5th grade, me and my friends.
5th grade.
Yeah. In the 5th grade, I had found this one store that could sell the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but they were like the counterfeit ones, but they looked really good. And I'm talking, they had Blue Eyes, White Dragon. They had
Dark Magician,
the
Red
really
Eyes, Black
good
Dragon,
cards, and they were fake. And so me and 2 of my buddies had like all pitched in to go and buy a gang of them, and so we would sell them at our school.
Dang.
And it actually worked, but it was so unethical, man. But hey,
made you a couple bucks.
Made a couple bucks, and like as a kid,
it ham at the ice cream truck.
It didn't seem that bad though, because I'm in 5th grade. I'm like 8 years old or something, or however old that you are in the 5th grade, and I just wanted to make some paper, and with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, those were the shit back in the day.
Yeah, when I was in junior high school, 7th grade, we were DJing all the high schools around my area.
Yeah.
So we did all the school dances. We threw parties, and this was like from 7th grade all the way to 12th grade. We were DJing and making money.
Nice.
It was cool. Well, we had a big old crew though, so after we got paid, we'd all just go out to a restaurant, pay off the rental fee for all the like lighting that we would rent from the local DJ shops, and then put a little bit of money aside for new records, because this is still back when vinyl was big.
Back
when you had to buy vinyl to DJ a party,
and when you were an actual DJ.
Yeah, exactly. There was no playlist. We're actually mixing songs. We're not just overlapping songs. We're matching beats. We're scratching. We're doing all that stuff. We were doing it. That's Marshall, Eagle Rock, Franklin High School, all those schools. We were doing them every Friday night. We would go out, make a few hundred here and there. It was cool.
Damn.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it funny of how like parents think that kids' parties are kids' parties, but no, bad stuff goes down at kids' parties when you're a kid. It was
fun, man. That was like the parties that we would be at. It was like dance crews, and it was battling. And,
that was like, those were the best days. Like breakdance. Oh my! You got served. Yeah, best movie. Man.
It was cool. It was fun. I mean, like, we would have bands and groups that were popular in the '90s before they got popular would be going to the parties that we were throwing. Like, and the guys from Black Eyed Peas, they went to our high schools.
Really?
We knew those guys. Who else was there? Coloring Bad. I don't know if you know those guys.
I know that
pretty
name.
Bad. Yeah. Hell of a. Like, they came to a couple of our parties that we threw over in Glendale. I mean, old school crew. I mean, it was crazy. Then, of course, it's a few knuckleheads that mess it all up for everyone. A couple of people got stabbed. A couple of people got, threatened with guns, and then cops started showing up, and before it was all innocent, nice, it was fun. It was all about hip hop. No, then it was like it went away after all that.
So yeah, it's always those one or two idiots who ruin it, who just find a way to ruin it for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like the equivalent to Honda or Mustang drivers. Oops.
Oh, shots fired. Lawnmower versus crowd killer. Choose your poison. So, hello everybody. You have made it with us to the 11th episode of the Jadacast podcast. Episode number 11, guys. Isn't that crazy?
Time flies, man.
Yeah. Okay, how's everyone doing?
Good.
Great.
Good. I'm doing great too. I am Jordan.
I'm Daryl.
I'm Mike.
And I always have to make it a point to reintroduce ourselves because I always forget about that. But so in episode 11, we got some fun things to talk about today. Some interesting things that I think all of you collectors out there would be interested in hearing. So by the first order of business, for those of you who are watching us on YouTube and Facebook, you can see on the table in front of us that we have some new items out. And so these items are part of the newest wave of our JDM Tuners line in 1/64 scale. So in front of us we have
Wave 4.
And Mike, so could you go through what is in Kiss Wave and yeah.
Yeah, so in Wave 4 we have an R35. It's flat black with gold graphics, and it pays homage to some of the original Ken Marie graphics that you see in Japan on the race circuit. I think it's awesome. It looks really good. It translates really well to the body lines of the R35. We have a Toyota AE86 in the gold trim and Watanabe wheels, which is where we've brought this car to our office here in City of Industry, took pictures of it, and we were trying to mimic that in this 1/64 scale version.
I see him on our Instagram all the time.
Yeah. Run free and on Instagram. Yep.
Well, could you tell me why with this car in particular, it just seems to have such a cult following, Why is that, you think?
Oh man, there's a lot to it. I kind of have to attribute it a lot to Initial D. And in that car, the AE86, the Turano is a legendary car. The balance of the weight ratio, the power to weight ratio. It's a light car. It doesn't need a lot of power to make it go fast. I mean, it was legendary in the street race circuit over in Japan, and out here it's just one of those cars that everyone is after. Because it's hard to find one that's in good condition that you can fix up.
Yeah.
Overall handling, I think capabilities of that car too is just for its time. I think was very. I think when you talk about these kinds of cars, it really lends itself to the overall driving experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
That's what it really came down to.
And so this was what you would call a true driver's car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his Instagram is Run Free AE86.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful car. His car, he did a really good job in that car. It's really nice. We also have a raw metal 510 Datsun. We have RS. What is that? A new R34. We have a Supra, and we have the 70. Which one is it?
The 71 Nissan Skyline GTR Hako.
Yep. The Hako.
Classic.
Yep. And what's kind of cool about the Hako is we did something new that we typically don't do with the 64 scale cars. If you look at the rear tail lights, they're actually jeweled rather than just being painted. So we're looking at doing that more often with our 64s.
And so by jeweled,
they're plastic. So it looks it's actually a plastic piece rather than just painted, mimicking a light lens. So it's it looks a lot more authentic rather than just a painted tail light.
And so what made you want to choose to make it plastic instead of
there's a lot of things to it. There's one, it just looks more detailed. It looks nicer. It looks more authentic that way. Because headlights and tail lights should be plastic, and sometimes because of costing, you can't do that. But we found a way to be able to do it without having to increase the cost so much. But it just takes a lot more engineering. The lights are really small, so it's our factory. They hate us for it because it's really difficult to assemble sometimes. But those are the things that we want to start doing more often, just to give it more detail.
And so were there like any other talks about trying to do something like that prior to this, and then this one was the one that we finally chose?
Yeah. From the very beginning is that when we were designing this car is that's how we wanted to do it, and we were going back and forth with our engineering team and making sure that it would work the way we wanted it to work and have the look that we wanted to achieve. And I think it came out great. I think it's a cool thing, and hopefully we'll be able to do more of this in the future. Yeah,
it's pretty sick. Yeah. I think that out of them all, my favorite one is probably the Hakosuka.
Yeah. It's a cool casting. I really like it a lot.
It's a toss up between that and the Ken Marie inspired R35 for me.
Yeah, exactly. When I first saw that Ken Marie after we got the first sample, I was like, oh man, that thing's hot.
It looks really nice, especially in 64 scale.
Yeah,
it jumps out at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and with everything in this wave, well, these are all cars that if you want to, I don't know a better way to sum it up, but I always like to say, the kings of JDM, and then but you have certain cars that really come to mind, and so obviously, GTR is probably up there with most people. Supra is probably a close second, or maybe even higher than a GTR. But so how about if we speak to some of the heritage behind these cars and why they are so special, even from a cultural standpoint, to maybe a racing standpoint, just an iconic legacy that they all carry, Well, why do you guys think that these cars have made it through the history?
It's tough because there's with the GTR, the whole Skyline and GTR lineage, they've been just known as the muscle car of Japan. They're just the top,
I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah, they've been thought of as like the ultimate race car coming out of Japan because they were just so powerful. The engine's huge. The designs were groundbreaking at the time. And I mean, even today, the R35 is just, it's a beast. This guy can tell you. Daryl's all into that R35, and it's that car, and also the elusivity of it, because you can't bring the R34s and below to United States without jumping through all kinds of hoops.
They make it really hard on you.
Yeah.
So the 32 and 33, I think, are good now.
Yeah,
and now it's the 34 that.
It's like a 25-year rule or something like that.
It's coming up in a few years.
Well, there's that 25-year rule, but then I think there was because of the Hako, it was I think it's like a cherished vehicle in Japan, and they didn't want it to be outside of Japan, or something like that. There was some weird thing where even that car was very difficult to get in the United States.
Right.
And what people were doing were getting a different vehicle and that was really close to it, and using body panels to make their own Hako here in the United States, but they weren't true Hakos.
So it's kind of like a Frankenstein car.
Kind of, yeah. It's like if you're a gun guy, sometimes you can't get a certain kind of gun in California, but if you were to import the pieces and put them together here, then you can.
Right.
But that's a little different because you're actually building the real thing. With the Hako, you're starting off with a different vehicle from the beginning, and then putting parts on to make it look similar to what it was, to what it would try and build.
But I can actually appreciate that way too. It still takes a lot of craftsmanship to pull off something like that.
Yeah, exactly. But what's cool about this wave is the AE86 in this Wave 4 164 JDM Tuners is the new casting of the wave. And the next few waves that are coming out will have more new castings. So it's if you're collecting 64, keep an eye out for them because there's some hot new ones that are coming down the pipeline.
Dropping some mad heat.
Fire.
I'm pretty excited.
And that brings me to another question. So what are some of the different reasons as to why certain fans tend to gravitate towards the different size scale of cars? For example, our 132 Fast and Furious line typically does very well, but it seems to attract more so the casual fan. But say for example, if you have a guy who's into to 118 scale, big time muscle, he's probably a very hardcore, well established fan. And so what do you guys think that is?
I think there's different levels of collectability, at least from what I see. I think a lot of the ones that are highly, highly collectible are going to be our 164 scales. But throughout history, I think in the toy industry, that scale has just kind of cemented itself as, kind of put itself out for that. For one, I think the price point. Two, the size, you're able to just kind of amass a whole car garage or something to that point. Hot Wheels, I'm sure, has a lot to do with it as well. But what you're also able to achieve in scales that are a little bit bigger, like the 24 scale, which we see here, is kind of like that happy medium. It's big enough for you to get a detail, like a lot of detail to it that's maybe not necessarily as much as like a 118 scale. Like I said, I think it's just that kind of happy medium. And that 32 scale is one of those, I think, going back to our last podcast when we were talking about the difference between a hobby market and the retail market. Well, we kind of view 32 scale as if a mom was with the kid or something, kind of walking down the aisle and the kid's making a big deal or not really behaving. Well, the mom can just grab a 32 scale. Here's your car, play with it. Type.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I agree. There's some people who are completists. They want to buy every car in the lineup, and they need to be able to afford it. So that's why they gravitate towards a 64. So because it's a lot, lower price point as compared to a 118 scale, and the way we do, we don't have really chase cars. Really, we may throw something in there sometimes naturally just by the nature.
Chase cars? I'm sorry.
So chase cars are like cars that are in our assortment that have less quantity than.
They're like exclusive.
Yeah. So if you find one, it's just a lot more valuable to the person because it's more exclusive.
Yeah.
Maybe we have 10,000 pieces of one car, but this one chase would maybe have 5,000 or less. But we typically don't do that. But by nature of the business, sometimes things will happen where we have to change something midway through. And like, for example, a rim, for example, may change halfway through. And then we put a new rim on. And now like that first car with the original rim becomes the chase because now that one's harder to find.
Yeah.
Because it's not in the market anymore. But what happens there's one kind of collector that will just look for those chases because they know those will be a little more valuable after they buy it, or they just flip them. But we kind of don't want to breed those kind of collectors. We'd rather have people who really enjoy, who are really enthusiasts of the genre of cars that we're making, and have them collect them all if they're into it. So there's the collector that likes small scale cars because they can collect a ton because it's a lot more affordable. Plus, they can put a ton on a shelf.
Yeah.
24 scale, I think, is a good happy medium where there's a lot of good detail in the car. Because, with 64, you can only do so much. You can't really get, you can get the motors in there, but then, keeping the price point, like we were talking about in the, past podcast, we want to keep it affordable.
Yeah.
So if we start going into engines and all that kind of detail, the price of our 64 would go up crazy.
Tough, huh?
Yeah. But with the 24 scale, you can get all that detail. It's bigger, but then it's just a nice model with good detail on it. 18 scale is for, I think, the hardcore enthusiasts who really like the detail in vehicles, because with that scale, you can really get into the nooks and crannies of the cars and really make like threading if you want on the upholstery. If you we can actually get in there and do that kind of stuff if we really wanted to. There's things that you can, like the high end 118 scale cars are ridiculously detailed.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, they're beautiful. I mean, but you pay. It comes at a cost. So the more detail, the larger you get, the more detail you get, the higher the cost of the collectible.
So what are some of the most expensive ones that you've seen before?
I mean, there's a lot. I mean,
I have a few in my office that range from like $200 to $400.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Have I seen them?
No. I have a Hako.
Yeah.
And I also have a R34 Skyline.
I mean, it's like real cloth interior.
Seatbelts, everything.
Seatbelts,
the steering, it has the axles and the wheels turn and all that stuff. Yeah.
And are you keeping them to eventually we'll sell them later?
No. I mean, like Mike,
I'll do it to someone else's company.
like Mike alluded to earlier. I mean, maybe if it was another car, but I mean, I'm a big Skyline GTR fan.
Yeah.
So it would be those two that I have.
Yeah. See, so like we were talking about collecting in the beginning of the show, all the stuff that I collect at home, like I collect like Robotech and Voltron stuff, classics. And I buy it. I don't expect myself to ever sell any of these things.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that kind of a collector. I'm not the kind of that will just say, oh, let me start collecting what's hot this minute. And then, now I'm bored of it. Let me sell it all off.
Yeah.
No, I'm collecting only, I'm only collecting the things that I know that I really like, that I want to keep for the long term. Because these are the toys that I had when I was younger that my mom and dad threw away that I wish I still had.
That was my mentality at Comic-Con. Like a lot of people go to Comic-Con for the exclusives and buy just a flip because it's a Comic-Con exclusive.
I mean, yeah, you can make a quick buck. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made by doing that.
Yeah, but like for me, I was like, I'd rather just go for the things that I truly, truly want and would enjoy because it's what I like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And dude, I'm so lazy when it comes to flipping things. I don't want to put in the time to make like $5 or $10 or something.
It seems
like
easy at first glance, but once you actually have
I got to take a picture of it. I got to create the listing, and then I got to
buy cardboard boxes and
I gotta talk to people.
The hardcore collectors that I know who really made money off of collecting are the ones that really collect everything and know which ones are going to be worth more later on down the line. Some of them have been sitting on cars for 20 years, and you know what? Like they said, you know what? My daughter's getting married. Let me sell a couple of these and pay for her wedding. And I mean, I'm talking 64 scale, maybe 1 or 2 64 scales that'll sold and paid for the whole wedding. It's crazy.
Are you
But
kidding?
yeah, no, not at all. I mean, it can get,
It's like a diamond.
yeah, it's crazy. But you know, that's what you know, if you're a collector and if you really are into something and you really want it and you keep hold of it, there's another person probably out there that'll appreciate the same things that you have.
That's just like the shoe game I was telling you about. Those Tiffany's, telling you, back then I was able to pick them up a pair for $500. Now $1,000.
Yeah. See, so I like whenever I hear or see people say, "Oh, I'm done collecting these. I'm selling off my whole collection." Why? You don't know how much those things are going to be worth 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the line.
Yeah.
You know, you might be kicking yourself in the butt and seeing those things at a local swap meet going for 10, 15, 20 times that you bought it for.
Yeah.
It's, you know, and I see that happen all the time with Jada stuff, with stuff that I had when I was a kid. I mean, I had this one. It was a Robotech motorcycle and it's like an 8-inch doll. It wasn't really a doll, but you know, it's the size of a doll.
Yeah.
And then it had a motorcycle that transforms and becomes the armor of the doll, right? And I saw the exact same one that I had, and it was out of the box. It was all like discolored. It was turning yellow. $375. I'm like, I had that thing. If I kept it, I would have had a $375 toy sitting on my desk.
Yeah.
But nope, I don't have it anymore.
Some real investment strategies.
Well, I mean, you don't know. You never know what's gonna stick and what's gonna be valuable later on. So, I mean, if you're a collector and you have a bunch of stuff, why just all of a sudden get bored of it and sell your stuff? I would store it, keep it.
Yeah.
Comic books. Oh my gosh, dude. I mean, I had comic books from when I was a kid, and now I can't find. Like my
Good
mom
catch,
got rid
Mike.
of all. Yeah, they're all gone. And I wish I had. I started collecting GI Joe from #1, and I had like a ton of GI Joe comic books. And from what I hear, those comic books are worth a ton. But now I don't. I'm missing out on that investment.
Yeah, man. Talk about a renaissance age.
Yeah.
While making a comeback.
Yeah,
Damn.
it's crazy.
What's it called? Yeah, and you know, if we want to take it up a notch, you know, talking about cars and collectible diecast, you know, and people who just scalp them off. I don't understand that for real cars too, you know. I mean, well, maybe if I had that type of FU money as to where you know I'm able to just buy a Ferrari, have it for a few months, and then sell it off for like another one. But I just don't understand, you know, because to me, each and every car I do want to buy in some way or another, it is a dream car of mine, and that's something I want to hold on to. So I don't understand when these dudes can buy a McLaren P1 and then be like, oh yeah, I'm selling it, you know, to get something else. I'm like,
It's
what?
not. I mean, I think there's a small or a slight differentiation when it comes to that, because, I mean, at that point, if you're going to use the McLaren P1 as the example, that's a very modern car, right? I mean, but when you're talking about classics, like true classics, whether that's in the JDM world or the American muscle world, I mean, they've obviously. They wouldn't be considered classics if they weren't around for quite some time with some sort of lineage or history background to them, right? So there's more of an appreciation to them. I think when you're talking about, in my opinion, the modern like supercars or hypercars or things like that, they haven't been around long enough to have a true appreciation of it. And really, the people that can really afford them are people that, I don't know, it's just my overall perception of them, might not necessarily can call themselves car guys, but because they can afford to buy, you know, these really expensive cars. But if you look at their entire garage or car collection, it's going to be what? Realistically, a P1, a 918 Spider, an Aventador, cars along those lines. But you're not going to see a 94 Supra. You're not going to see a 71 Charger, a Chevelle, 65 Mustang.
If I had that money, that would be in my garage.
No, but you see the differentiation there.
Yeah.
To call your I mean, at the end of the day, car guy is a loose term, but like car enthusiast, I think there's a separation there. That's where I see the difference in the two. I mean, if I'd be with Mike, I would love to roll a 70, 71, 69 Charger. Mm-hmm. Like I could totally see myself doing that. But on the flip side, I also love me some good Porsches.
Yeah.
So I think it's that nice overall balance of in the car world. You have the appreciation for the older as well as the modern.
I found a picture and I showed it to a friend. It was a picture of this really nice garage, all like nice woodwork around the garage. It was pristine. You see the toolboxes in the back. And this person had money. And he had a row of cars. And all the cars were old school Datsuns from 620, 510, 240s, all of that. And my friend was like, yeah, if you have that kind of money, why are you buying Datsuns? I'm like, if you have that kind of money, you can buy whatever you want. If you're into the Datsuns, go for it. Do
your thing.
Yeah, do your thing. It's cool because if you're a collector and you collect what you like, I mean, it doesn't matter what other people think.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if I could have every generation of the Skyline, that's what I would have. But then people could be like, oh, you could have a
McLaren for one of I don't know.
But I don't know. You just kind of get back to the enthusiast side of you. Because it's something that you truly love, you truly understand, and you really appreciate. Like you really, really appreciate. Otherwise, you could go for a P1.
What if I collected every generation of Prius?
What is there to appreciate about that car, Mike? There's nothing to appreciate about that car.
The gas mileage.
Damn it, Brian. Had a really good point, right? How about if we try to dive into this deeper, because this is starting to get pretty interesting. To define what is the criteria that really makes you an enthusiast,
I don't know, as far as if there's a specific criteria.
It's a little esoteric, a little bit.
I think it's just an overall appreciation. I think to truly understand more or less some of the backstories or the lineage behind certain cars and what makes them so special today, right? I think people will have this appreciation for certain cars. Like I have an appreciation for the classic muscle cars, but not as much as I do for the classic JDM cars. Yes. But only because I feel that I know them a little bit more. But that's not to say that I wouldn't. You just heard me say I would roll a classic 71 Charger any day.
Yeah.
Right. But
it's kind of weird. And when you say enthusiast, are you talking about enthusiast as a collector? Or or is that two different things?
I'm under the assumption it's in general.
In general.
Okay, in general. Okay, so I was just trying to figure out the question because I love the Robotech stuff, but I really only am specific to mostly the first, second, third generation Robotech. I don't know much about any of the other stuff, so I can't call myself an enthusiast of the Robotech world. I just really just know and like the style of the robots from the first, mechs.
The what?
Mechs. They call them mechs.
MEX?
No, CH.
MEC.
Mech.
All right.
I don't want to be all but yeah, I really just am into those first 3 seasons, and that's it. The other ones I'm not really into that much. Right. But so I can't really call myself an enthusiast because I really don't know the whole story behind everything. I just know those specific ones.
Well, right. So that's my point in bringing it back to the car culture aspect of it, like the JDM versus the muscle, right? To Mike's example, like I don't know that much about the muscle side of it. I know a good amount of it about the JDM side of it. But as a whole, I think even though I don't know too much about one side of it, I still can appreciate, I think, a good portion of it, right?
MEX.
That's what I was laughing. Brian and I immediately looked at each other.
Hey, y'all know I don't know.
But yeah, I just think an appreciation for everything to have that and understand that it plays a pivotal role in creating the overall. I don't even know what the term is, but it's something that everyone can gravitate to at the end of the day and have like a common interest, because whether you're on this side or this side, it's still the car culture. That's why we call it the car culture.
Yes.
Right. So
it's kind of like, I also would like, imagine going to an art gallery, right? You can like something because you appreciate the effort that goes into making a piece of art, but you may not know what the whole meaning behind that artwork is that the artist was trying to portray. So you still have an appreciation for it and you like it. You may even want to buy it, but then you're still not that versed in what the actual meaning of that artwork is.
Yeah, people can find different things to appreciate.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
I see. So it kind of seems like to be considered, an enthusiast, that you kind of have to come full circle and just having and just having an overall appreciation for the past, present, and future. But then also, in the future, you have to recognize that the only reason that this is here is because of these amazing strides that happened before.
I think that's the order it comes in. You first, you have an appreciation for what it is on the outside, right? So if you say you're looking at one of our 164 scales and you're like, oh man, this AE86 looks really nice, and then you start noticing the other ones, and then you start to gain more of an appreciation for the whole line, and then eventually you'll start to want to become more versed in what that is about, and then you start to learn. See the history and of Jada and what the cars are all about, and then you become an enthusiast after that, because now you're really immersing yourself into that product or that collection that you're starting to develop.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I did it again. Interesting. Why are you imitating me and like having your back all straight? And like, what do I sit like that?
I think it's just because that chair here makes you sit like that.
It's just it's just helping out my posture. Hey, quick question: why do cops hate the R34 so damn much?
Do they?
Hate's a strong word. I don't even think they hate it.
R34?
Yeah.
I don't know where you're getting that from. Because there's not very many on the street.
Well, I've heard in circles that like for the people who do, for the people who are able to attain them the legal route, that even if it is perfectly fine and it checks out, that you'll still get pulled over and like impounded.
I think it's just more for lack of understanding. I mean, there are cops out there that are also automotive enthusiasts, but I don't think they're that common to be honest.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't think that very many cops will know what they're looking at if they see one on the street.
Right. So
is that a Malibu?
Well, I feel like with the R34, even if a cop has no idea what it is, he'll see that and he'll just be like, I'm putting on my fucking
Well, I mean, like the R34, I mean, it's not even, because it's not even legal here for one, therefore it's not a common car. And so you've never really seen anything like it. And then you find out and you see that it's a right-hand drive. Oh, for sure in California, that's something's up with that.
Yeah.
And then, so that's automatic right there. And when they pull one over, and they're checking out the paperwork, I'm sure, I don't know exactly, but I would assume that it's some sort of like complicated multiple paperwork to show like if hopefully it is legal, and some other things. I think more often than not, it's just a lack of understanding, and then it can quickly escalate to, if the owner is going to be a prick about it, like giving the cop an attitude. When you get pulled over, you're not happy, and you're not doing yourself any favors if you're giving an attitude, because then everyone gets defensive, and then it blows up into this whole thing.
And when you're driving a car like that, and then usually when I see these on the street, I mean, they're not
usually
stock.
How often are you seeing them?
Like, not very often, but yeah, like if I do see one on the street, they're modded.
Yeah,
they sound awesome.
Yeah.
And when you're driving one of those things, you're not driving it just calm and collective, and and just kind of cruising down. Yeah, exactly. I'll be like, in the tunnels, I'm revving it just because I want to hear that sound. Out of a turn, I'm pressing the gas to feel that pull. It usually, I mean, that's how I would be driving it, and it's probably going to capture the attention of the cops. It's just from the nature of the kind of car it is. I mean, same thing with any of the exotics. If I was in an exotic, I mean, unless I'm driving someone else's car, I'm not going to be like that. But yeah, it is a car that would attract attention in that way.
Yeah,
like with what Daryl said, the right-hand drive, the sounds and everything. It's just the car that attracts attention.
I think overall, when it comes to that car, it's just lack of understanding for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I've just heard like some folklore of people in the U.S. who do have them legally, that even if it is legal, you're still screwed.
Well, there was a point. There was a time, in the late 90s, I want to say early 2000s, when there was companies bringing them here illegally, and there was a ton of them here illegally, and they were impounding all of them. This is probably where you heard this from. They were on the lookout for these cars because they were imported here illegally, and there was a lot. I'm not saying thousands, but there was a lot here in Southern California, and they were just impounding them and destroying them. They would put them in that crushing machine or whatever, and I'd see videos of this, and I'd be like cringing. That's what they would do.
That should be a crime.
It's there, and some of these illegal vehicles that have been brought here are still not on the street. They're probably stored somewhere, but they're out there still.
Just waiting.
That's probably one of the reasons why you hear that, is because they're on the lookout for these cars.
Haters.
I mean, I don't think it was the 35 though, or 34. I think it was more the 33 and before. But
yeah, which
those are legal
to have now.
Yeah,
I've actually seen a couple of 33s around.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, there's a couple for sale that I see on the internet.
I have my eye,
dude. They're not that expensive, dude.
They're okay.
Yeah.
They're very affordable.
Yeah.
Dude,
Jordan.
That would take me from here to here, dude, overnight.
I would be the coolest guy on the block immediately.
I'd be getting so much street cred from that'd be crazy.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the 34, man.
Yeah.
Part of me just wants to buy one, keep it in Canada. They're legal out there.
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
That's what I want to do with a Toyota Hiace.
Ooh,
it's a minivan.
Mike's about the minivan life.
Toyota Hiace? I don't think
Hiace.
I don't think I've ever seen one of those. Here, let me pull one up real quick.
It's like the boxy of the box. I mean, it looks like you people are talking about
party van.
Yeah. I mean, they're saying that the XB looked like a toaster. This thing's a straight up toaster.
Yeah, this thing really is a toaster,
dude. But if you type in custom Hiace, oh man. Yeah, I'm all about that van.
So what do you do in this van?
Huh?
So what do you do in this van,
It's
Mike?
Party, dude. That van screams party.
What kind of parties? Probably can't see it that well, but
no, I'll show you. Those pictures don't do it justice.
I can see the appeal though.
Okay, so I love that van. That van is freaking like the coolest thing. When I first saw him, the first time I saw him was online, but the first time I rode in it was when I went to Hong Kong to visit our Hong Kong office, and they had one pick me up, and it was a custom.
That's what I rode in.
Yeah, dude. They had curtains.
Yeah,
I mean, these things were dope.
Is there a ton of
chairs in the back?
Yeah, dude. You're lounging.
Feet up. Yeah.
These things are, and like you can add on these different tops that have like more headroom or a refrigerant so it's, like you can make that into a box truck that delivers seafood, camper tops. There's like all kinds of customization
cool.
things you could do.
Yeah.
You know what? I think that you've made me a believer.
I'll send you pictures
Yeah.
of what nice ones, because
Yeah,
and
I'll
then
put
I went
some
to
of them in.
Japan and I saw them in Japan. And I'm like, dude, these things are just
You know what?
ridiculous.
I've actually had a couple of friends who have gone to Tokyo pretty recently, and they come back to me and say, like, man, there's freaking R34s everywhere, as if it's Toyotas, and there's all these other ones.
It's
just lying
every
around.
car out there just looks cool. Even their delivery trucks that they use just to deliver like at the fish markets, for example. They deliver ice from this location to this location, and they're like these little tiny little trucks. They're probably the size of a Veloster, but they're a 2-person truck with a bed in the back, and it's like they're really tiny.
It's always like the most obscure things. That,
And they
like,
look dope.
Yeah.
They're trash trucks. I mean, everything out there is just cool.
Man,
Not that it's obscure by any means, but that was kind of the same mentality that got me into the Raptor.
Yeah.
Or just the truck.
Yeah.
Because Mike's known me for years now.
Yeah,
And so like he's always known me as like the sports car guy. And don't get me wrong, like I will have a sports car for the rest of my life. And I will choose that 10 times over 10 over a truck or anything like that if I was given one choice, a choice to have one. But the appeal for going into the truck world was because it's different. And again, it's not that the Raptor's obscure, it's just it offers a capability that I've never really had before. The big car, the off-road, the space, and everything else that comes with it. It just had a very like big appeal to me. And so that was very different for me. So the same thing with like the Hiace that Mike's into. It's like, well, it's a party van. You can do so much to it, and it's just so different. And it's not like typical like norm thing for you to naturally think of, or at least gravitate towards. But I think once you experience one thing, then you start looking at something else that's a little bit different. It starts kind of getting your attention.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how it happened for me.
I was about to make a really bad metaphor, but I chose not to.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I will end this podcast with a more appropriate metaphor, that variety is the spice of life.
Actually, I want to bring one more thing up on our table here.
Oh yeah. Forgot about that one. I didn't see it.
Yeah. We
my
have
views
this.
a little
We have the 124 scale Mazda RX-3.
Hey, that thing looks cool.
It's hardcore JDM. This is like the style straight out of Japan with the cone flares, and the wheels they're the cool. I mean, so
It just screams
one
classic.
of the things that we get a lot of comments on is that our fitment, the wheels are too far deep into the wheel well. Now, I want you to think back to when Big Time Muscle and the older cars that we used to do.
Yes.
The style back then was tucking.
Mm-hmm.
That means the fender went over the rim, so part of the rim was actually inside the body. So we would have to put it inside the body so that it won't rub. Now, these cars still have to roll, right? And the thickness of the fender wall, the metal that's around there, has to be a certain thickness so it doesn't collapse on itself. It's not too soft. It still has rigidity. So they have to be a certain thickness. Now, with the new style, which we're trying to achieve is flush, we'd love to push it all the way out, but we'll get more customer service calls with the wheels not rolling if we pull them out too much where the wheels won't turn. So we have to push them in to allow the wheels to turn. Okay. But there's enough play for you guys who really want that flush look to pull the wheels out on the axle so that it will sit flush and will still roll. If you want it super flush, you may start to hit the sidewall of the inner sidewall of the fender, and it might not roll, but you'll achieve that look. But you can achieve those looks if you want to with our cars, because there's enough play in there to do it. But that's one of the things that we get a lot of flack for, but it's because we'd rather have it roll and have people customize it to make it look the way they want to, rather than making it look right but not roll, because we'll get too many customer service calls.
Yes.
You see how much time and effort and like thought goes into the creation of every one of these, and at the end of the day, all we hear is Jada didn't cut the exhaust hole, whatever. The same thing I said in the last podcast. I'm saying it in this one too.
You guys suck. You guys don't care about the collectors.
But I mean, at the end of the day, like it's a kind of add on to what Mike said. Like we do see these things and we try to incorporate it back into the end product.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that go into making these things, and sometimes we do miss certain details that we should have put into them.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's too late and it's not worth it for us to go back in and change it, because that means changing tooling and doing all kinds of stuff. And there's like a big investment. So some things we have to just cut our losses. Sometimes we will reinvest if we think it's worth it, but
more often than not, we go back to the Jada way.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, dude, there's so many times that we've gone back in and fixed things. And that just makes it more collectible, because once we do fix it and change it, then there's like a few that were out there on the market that were incorrect. And now there's the change. And those are the ones that, the ones that were incorrect are the ones that typically will get more, be more valuable later on down the line.
Yeah. See, we're helping y'all out.
So we won't put that out as public knowledge, but it's something that like as collectors you will notice.
Yeah.
And I mean, I want to give a shout out to Andy Goodman. He's an encyclopedia of Jada history, and he knows all that stuff.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean,
that garage is ridiculous.
Yeah, you got to check him out. He collects everything.
Does he have Instagram?
I don't know if he's on Instagram, but he's on Facebook.
Yeah,
and he collects all kinds of die-casts. He collects Jada, and he collects other companies. But his knowledge is ridiculous. He came here, looked at our die-cast wall, and said, "Oh, you're missing this, and this. I can get it for you if you want it." I'm like, but yeah, he was because he started collecting even before I started here, and I've been here for 13 years.
Yes,
and he was telling me all the history about everything from before I was here. So,
I feel like around the RX3 and with everything that you just said, maybe we could make some type of Easter egg challenge.
You think so?
Yeah. I'm wondering what it should be. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe you'll put we'll think of something and you'll put a flash cut in of into the video.
Yeah.
That'll kind of explain it a little bit.
Yeah. So if you guys are able to find the Easter egg that I just mentioned, or the Easter egg that I'm talking about now, we'll send you some free swag. And so be sure to watch out for our Instagram page and Facebook, and we'll throw that in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. By the way, I don't ever expect to see an RX3 in America.
There is. Yeah? Yeah, there's plenty. That's one of the original, like, when I was...
I've never seen one.
That's yeah. Oh, I mean, if you ever go to the old school... I forgot what that show is. The old school Japanese... I don't know. There's like an old school JDM show. They're all over the place. That's one of the cars. I have a friend that's fixing one up now.
Is it hosted by Stance Nation?
I don't remember.
Out in LA?
I think yeah. Well, there's near.
Well, I suppose that's not really a good description because there's a lot of.
Yeah.
But I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, there's like a swap meet that just sells all JDM old school stuff, and you'll see a ton of those out there. Yeah, no, they're around. They're as popular. They're probably the second most popular old school JDM car to fix up under the that's obtainable. That's you can find under the 510.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, all of them are kind of hard to find in good condition to fix up, but yeah, sure. That's those. It's I think the top three: A86, 510, RX3 are the top three.
Okay, that's pretty sick. Well, the more got you know, and I can't see a better way to end this podcast other than that. So just a little bit of housekeeping rules. If this podcast brings you any type of value whatsoever, if it makes you laugh, if it makes you cry, be sure to like it, subscribe to our YouTube page, follow us on Instagram, tell people about this podcast, share it with a friend. And after all, if you guys really consider yourselves collectors, how could you not be listening to this podcast? All right, don't tell me that you're a collector, but you don't listen to the Jadacast podcast, because no other company is about to give you all of the insights that we can provide to you guys here. Between these two, there are more than 25 years of knowledge of this industry, and you're not about to find that anywhere else. All right, so we're handing it out for free. We're collectors too. So if you enjoy our podcast, spread it to everybody, and we will see you guys next week. Oh, by the way, we will be at SEMA at the end of this month, early into November, October 28th through November what?
3rd.
Through November 3rd. So be there or be square. I am Jordan.
I'm Daryl.
Mike.
And we will see you guys next week. Peace out.